There's a war happening right now inside the marketing industry. Not a metaphoric war, a real one. Over money, over relevance, over who gets to define the future of how brands get found online. And most brands are watching it happen without realizing they're in the middle of it. Today I'm going to tell you the full story, where it started, what broke, and why the people who are supposed to be guiding you through this transition may have a conflict of interest in doing so. To understand the war, you have to understand the kingdom that existed before it. Search engine optimization, or SEO, wasn't just a tactic. It was an entire economic ecosystem built over 25 years, worth $80 billion. Agencies, tools, consultants, job titles, conferences, certifications, an entire professional identity. And it all ran on one idea. Google is the gatekeeper. Rank on Google, you will win. The game was keyword density, backlinks, domain authority, page speed, meta tags. You hired an SEO agency, they ran audits, they built reports, they tracked rankings, and it worked. For a long time, it worked extremely well. Google became the most powerful discovery infrastructure ever built. If you wanted to be found by anyone for anything, you optimized for Google. End of story. That was the kingdom. And it was stable for 2 decades. Then something started shifting. It didn't happen overnight. It happened in layers. First, users started asking questions differently. Not best running shoes, but what running shoes are best for someone with plantar fasciitis who runs 20 miles a week? Conversational, specific, contextual. Google tried to keep up. Featured snippets, knowledge panels. People also ask. They were adding answer layer after answer layer on top of the blue links, slowly conditioning users to expect the answer on the page itself, not after clicking through. Zero-click searches. That's what they called it. You search, Google answers. You never visit a single website. For SEO practitioners, that was uncomfortable, but manageable. Google was still the surface. The game just got harder. Then in November 2022, everything changed. ChatGPT launched, and users did something nobody in the SEO industry was fully prepared for. They stopped going to Google first. Not everyone, not immediately, but the behavior started fracturing. People began asking AI directly, getting synthesized answers, moving on, no rankings, no click-throughs, no blue links at all. By 2025, Bain & Company found that 80% of consumers relied on AI-written results for at least 40% of their searches. Adobe reports a 4,700% year-over-year surge in retail traffic coming from generative AI assistants of a small but rapidly growing base. Multiple independent studies show AI answers and classic Google rankings increasingly diverging, with citation overlap now often closer to 1/3 than 2/3 of URLs. The two systems, search and AI, are now surfacing almost entirely different sources. The kingdom didn't fall, but the walls cracked. Hard. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Google has Gemini. Doesn't that solve this for Google? Here's the thing. Google having Gemini doesn't close the gap. It proves it exists. Because the moment Google started building an AI answer layer inside its own search product, it entered a conflict with itself. This is where it gets interesting and where you need to pay close attention. Because when a new category threatens an $80 billion industry, that industry doesn't roll over. It fights. And the way it fights is through language. Suddenly, everywhere you looked, SEO practitioners and SEO publications were publishing the same message. GEO is just good SEO. Nothing has really changed. You don't need a new strategy. You need a better version of your old one. Google's own representatives started saying publicly, and I'm quoting, "Good SEO is good GEO," which is a brilliant defensive move, by the way. If you can convince the market that GEO is just SEO with better content, you protect your entire client base and your retainer revenue. And look, there's a kernel of truth in it. Some of the underlying signals overlap. EEAT, structured content, authoritative sourcing, these matter in both systems. But the framing is strategically incomplete, because here's what they're not telling you. SEO and GEO operate on fundamentally different logic. In SEO, the goal is a ranking. In GEO, the goal is a citation inside a generated answer, where the user may never click, never visit your site, and never know you existed as a source. The success metric isn't traffic, it's mention share. It's whether an AI, when asked a question relevant to your category, reaches for your brand or your competitors. And the citation overlap data proves they're not the same system. 20% overlap means optimizing for one doesn't automatically optimize for the other. The SEO industry knows this. The pushback isn't confusion, it's category defense. Here's the deeper thing AI broke that nobody wants to say clearly. It broke the relationship between content and traffic. For 25 years, visibility meant visits. You got cited, you got clicked, you got measured. The metrics made sense. In the AI answer economy, your content can train the model, inform the answer, shape the user's decision, and generate 0 page views, 0 attribution, 0 measurable ROI in any traditional framework. Nearly 70% of news-related Google searches now end without a single click to an article, even when that article supplied the facts behind the AI summary. The AI gets the credit and the user's attention. The publisher's brand often gets nothing, unless they've deliberately built the infrastructure to be the source AI reaches for and cites in the first place. That's not an SEO problem. That's not a content quality problem. That's a visibility infrastructure problem, and it requires a completely different set of tools to measure, manage, and optimize. This is why the turf war is real, because whoever defines the measurement framework controls the budget, and right now, SEO agencies are fighting to keep GEO inside their existing reporting infrastructure, so the budget doesn't move. So where does that leave you as a brand? The honest answer is in a window, a brief one. The brands that move now, that build AI citation authority before the category consolidates, will own those answer positions the way early movers owned page 1 rankings in 2004. The brands that wait for the SEO versus GEO debate to resolve will be optimizing for a world that already moved on. This isn't about abandoning SEO. It's about understanding that search has split. There's the old surface and the new one. And if you're only measuring one, you're flying blind on the other. The war between SEO and GEO is ultimately a war over who gets to define visibility. And visibility now lives inside the answer, not above the fold. The question isn't which side wins. The question is, when AI answers a question in your category, whose brand is it reaching for? That's the only question that matters now.